Campbell, hello. Thank you for your time. Wonderful to see you. I've been a fan of your movies, so I appreciate this time.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Cleaner. So, um, within this movie, you balance the action between being indoors on a set and then outdoors on location. But yet, even when we're outside, the action feels tight and claustrophobic. You get to show us these beautiful expanses and the skyline, and you can feel the height in the movie. But yet, the overall feel is certainly not open, particularly for Daisy Ridley's character, Joey. Can you speak to me on that stylistic choice?
Well, I mean, the obviously, I think for two-thirds of the film, she's outside the building. I mean, that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's obviously action going on inside the building, as we know, because the gala, if you will, the celebrating the shareholder kind of annual event, is taken over by eco warriors, and while she's stuck outside cleaning the building, and she's working late. She's the only one working late, so it's literally like looking into a goldfish bowl. She's seeing all this action, and of course she's got to get inside, and that's a much tougher proposition than you would think. So that's really her, and she has to get inside to save her brother, who's autistic, and that's what she's got to do. So the outside, we tried to make it as the height and everything else, to get the old vertigo thing going and so forth. I didn't dare get in that bloody cradle and, terrify me. So, but actually the real guys who do it and women who do it, you'd think it's like a, walk in the park. They don't.
But yet this is not the first time you used heights to amplify action sequences in movies. You had the construction scene in Casino Royale. You had all the climbing scenes in Vertical Limit. So
Yeah.
what draws you to wanting to film or to have a film take place in such great heights?
I don't know. Well, Vertical Limit certainly had a lot of, holding on by your fingernails, basically. and Casino Royale, obviously the parkour sequence. He goes right up to the crane and comes down off the crane and so forth, right? So for some reason, it's just sheer coincidence that height is and even in Zorro, the poor, the bad guy falls from a great height. so it's not pre-planned. It's simply
okay. Well, so speaking of that, right, even speaking of Zorro, right, generally you are known for having fast, fun action that mixes in with the drama. What draws you to that genre?
Well, I just love it. I look, I go to the movies to be entertained. I love it. I love to go to look. The thing is that I want to spend 2 hours, whatever it may be, although Cleaner is shorter than that. But to spend 2 hours, to just sit back, relax, enjoy the movie, and be entertained, and that's that. That's really my. I'm not trying to send any messages. What was it? Yeah. So, what was it? Goldwyn said, "You want to send a message? Do it through Western Union." I think it was his. Right. So yeah, that's my feeling about it.
Okay, cool. Well, speaking of brevity, this is not the first time you've worked with Clive Owen, but in Cleaner, you've got him for like 10 minutes of screen time. Obviously, that was a limitation to the plot, right? It was essential, for that limited time, for that limitation to occur, in order to bring gravitas to the terrorist plot. Was Owen's contribution to the film simply to have a well-known actor in a role in order for that terrorist plot, or was it shock value, or just fun because you got to work with Clive Owen?
Well, no, because I'd worked with Clive before, and because he's something of a name. I mean, independent movies are set up you know, you always have to get inevitably a couple of names. Well, Daisy, obviously, with Star Wars, Clive, with his background, done a lot of movies and so forth, right? And those two really, and then beyond that, you can then work with actors that perhaps you worked with before, or great character actors, so on and so forth. And not only the great thing about Clive is that, you know, when he plays the part, he doesn't threaten, he doesn't use violence, right? I mean, sure, sorry, he obviously threatens, but no violence, and he's got a kind of almost a charm about him, the way he
Absolutely.
which is essential, by the way. You know, he's not playing the heavy. There's no heavy to him. He's got them all wrapped up. He's got them all as hostages. He knows exactly what he wants to do. And so he almost entertains them, the way he actually kind of talks to them, slightly seduces them, if you see what I mean. And it's almost as though he enjoys the process, right? Which makes him, for me, much more lethal. I don't see him as a bad guy at all. He's not. You know, I see him as a kind of eco warrior, and
right, or a crusader.
And he's a crusader, and look, he's doing exactly what I think we would all want to do, which is, you know, make this company accountable, put it out there in the media, and bring the company down. That's what he's doing. However, the interesting part is, of course, there's a different generation. There's a younger guy. There's a coup d'état, and you know, the Noah character feels that this gesture is just not big enough. The only way to change people's mind is to go to the absolute extreme, even if it's going to kill him as well. So, you know, it's almost psychopathic in a way. But the idea of the anti-humanist group, which kind of exists, by the way, right? Who believe that all human beings should be you know, kicked off the planet, and the planet will regenerate itself.
Right.
So,
yeah.
They do both.
Yeah. I mean, in my review, I even mentioned, you know, the Batman villain, Ra's al Ghul. That has always been, you know, his plan. You know, he wants to, you know, reduce the population of Earth to just 10% of what it is, and the strongest will survive, and they'll make Earth a utopia. And, you know,
well, you go back to the Jim Jones thing. You remember that?
And that as well.
These guys, and the point is, they believe it. These people absolutely believe that what they're doing is you know, he believes in the mission. He believes in
totally,
and it's psychotic, of course. But it's, you know, it's interesting, and that's one of the reasons I really like that the idea that they're not conventional bad guys. These, you know,
right.
They're doing what I think is morally correct. It just so happens that you know, within the group, there's obviously another faction unknown to the Clive Owen character that wants to take it to the limit. Yeah,
great. We have 2 minutes left, so really quick, I've got you here. I've got to talk to you really quick about James Bond.
Go ahead.
You've directed 2 James Bond movies, both of which introduced new actors to the title role, right? Whereas GoldenEye was really an all systems go for the Bond machine. Casino Royale was more of a system reset. When you were approached to do Casino Royale, did you treat that project as simply another movie, or did you want to work out and show a cinematic through line between the two?
Well, the thing is that you're quite right. You know, the Pierce Brosnan GoldenEye was very much a continuation of the Roger Moore. I don't necessarily, you know, each actor brings their own personality to it, obviously, but it's sort of in that vein, very handsome, you know, and the some awful one-liners that we always get in Bond, which I always love, by the way.
Of course.
I told him to pull out, sir. You know, I think, yes, I think he's going for re-entry, you know, all that stuff. But with Bond, after the last Pierce Brosnan one, it was the producers who said, we have to reorient this. You know, we've gone too far with it. It's getting too fantastical. And they had the Casino Royale book. We also had Paul Haggis to write the script, or should I say rewrite the script, who did a tremendous job. And with a new Bond, and it's a much grittier Bond, obviously, and it's, you know, he's a Bond with troubled to a certain extent. He's not Bond until the last frame of the movie.
Till the end,
Well,
yeah.
not the Bond that we know,
Right.
until the last frame of the movie. You know, there's a slight stubbornness and arrogance. He makes mistakes. He screws up over the process of the movie. But finally, of course, he becomes so a very different kind of tone to the thing.
Yeah.
From the Pierce Brosnan, and that reset, as you pointed out, was essential, I think, because I think we've gone to the limit on with the Pierce Brosnan Bond, if you will, and it had to change. And,
yeah. Well,
and I think it worked. So.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
So thank you again for your time. This was great. Really appreciate it.